What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the FeedMeSports podcast. Although this week it's called the FeedMeWrestling podcast because this week we are talking all about the WWE since we had to cut it out of last week since we were running overtime on regular sports. This week we're talking about purely scripted, really weird fun. Joining me today on the podcast, as always, Alexander Birch and Lewis Schaefer, as well as our returning, now not so special guest because it's twice, Mike Schaefer is back in the podcast to talk about wrestling and hopefully never mention the Ascension ever again. So coming off of this weekend, guys, we just had TakeOver Chicago for NXT and Backlash. We'll kind of forego the NXT TakeOver Chicago stuff to go talk about Backlash. Mike, I'll ask you, since you're the newest member of the panel today, what was your favorite match from Backlash starting right away?
Based off the match, I'm going to say it. You guys will probably all disagree with me. Breezango versus the Usos.
No,
I'm going to say Breezango.
I agree. That's the most fun I ever had.
just because of what Breeze was able to pull off, because you don't think of those guys, Jinder Mahal and these guys were all jobbers. And now these guys are making a name for themselves as Breezango, and seeing him go out there as the janitor and then Grandma Breeze, it was absolutely very entertaining, and they should have won the match, and I hope they continue that feud. But that was my match of the night. They stole the show.
I mean, he got that broomstick or that mop more over than the Usos have been since they stopped slapping themselves.
Yeah.
So, if you can, since the Usos went heel, that mop was their biggest downfall. I don't think that I've ever seen. I think if the mop becomes the new list of Jericho, I am so down. I am 100% behind it.
Okay.
Lewis, what was your match of the night from Backlash?
Well, if you listen to the podcast, you know where I'm going with this. The U.S. Championship match. KO, AJ Styles, my two favorite wrestlers in the world. Good story building with Kevin winning by count out. I'm sure if you had to try that 10 times, AJ gets his foot right in the wires once, and he did it somehow. Everything about that match, the wrestling, him going through the hole in the table, and then him banging his head against the table afterward because he was pissed off. The entire match, start to finish. Great storytelling, great action. I love that match.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's one of my favorite matches. I was really, really excited when they announced that they were going to be going at each other because we did get to see a glimpse of it when me and you went to Raw a year ago.
And I got to sit in the comfort of my own room and cheer for both, as opposed to being judged like we were in film.
No one judged us. It was a good night. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed what they put on, and the way they told that storyline is only going to get bigger now that they're both Money in the Bank contestants. Birch, Yep. What was your favorite match of Backlash?
I think for me it was definitely Shinsuke and Ziggy. I mean, they're two guys who complement each other very well in the ring, just with their style. The way that they can handle a promo, Ziggy spits in Nakamura's face. It's like not one guy was too overpowering on the other. I think they made it close, and them making it close just made it more exciting. And I think them giving Nakamura the win in his first pay-per-view for WWE, I think was the right way to go. So I'm really excited to see, one, how Nakamura responds to this going forward, and definitely the rivalry that he and Ziggy can build from that.
Yeah, it was, I don't like how they're calling him the Rock Star now instead of the King of Strong Style.
I've also heard the artist thrown around.
Yeah, I don't like that. I if they could bring back the King of Strong Style, I'm down. But I enjoyed the match. I think it was awesome because I was sitting there at home, and I was kind of surprised it was the first match of the night that they started off right away with something that was heavily
because I thought it would be a main event match or the main event match.
He's on the posters, he's on the programs, he's on everything, and then he's the first one to come up, which was weird. But I liked the fact that he kicked out of the zigzag. Once Ziggler hit that zigzag, I was like, yeah, no, it's over. Time to go home.
Yeah,
they screwed this one up. And then he kicked out, and I was like, no, I am severely enthralled in what's going on right now because I thought that Ziggler had won it at that point. So I think hats off to Ziggler for putting on a great show as he always does, and hats off to Shinsuke for, living up to the hype that I think he made for himself in NXT. For me, my favorite match of the night I have to back up Mike. In the difference between WWE main roster and NXT and in the independents, if you want to go even lower than that, is the difference between storytelling and wrestling, and like the balance of scales on how important each is. In WWE main roster, I think storytelling is a little bit more important most times. And like Mike said, it was tremendous how, without wrestling moves, they got over the Fashion Files. There was probably about 4 wrestling moves done in the first 15 minutes of that match. And it was just Tyler Breeze putting on costumes and wigs and props and throwing his cane around. And from a team that was a joke 3 weeks ago to a team that was so over that they had the entire crowd in Chicago chanting, "We want the mop." I can't think of a better way to keep that storyline going. And even on their appearance on SmackDown this past week, where you had them fake turning their badges and water guns to Commissioner Shane McMahon, because their day one ish was not more than enough, was not enough to beat the day one ishes of the Usos, or the Uggos as they call them.
The Uggos.
The Uggos.
It was the perfect way to build up that rivalry. And they remind me so much of what Heath Slater and Rhino could have been. They remind me so much of what Team Hell No was when Daniel Bryan was becoming extremely popular. I think this could be a massive jumping off point for both of them going forward, even after this tag team is over.
Oh,
Going off of that,
go ahead, Lewis.
Going off of that, I also want to thank the Breezango for telling me what that shirt says, because I am convinced that day one is H.
And
day one is H.
Our day one will be H.
Like you said, like the storytelling with that, and you brought up some great points to the point I'm about to make, is that with Team Hell No and Breezango and Beauty and the Man Beast, the wrestling doesn't always do it for them. So their goofy character is what has to carry them, and sometimes some of the guys just don't get over well enough as the goofy character because we've seen enough of them. But like, for example, Tyler Breeze is a singles competitor. But you make these teams and you get these vignettes like Team Hell No used to do when they did the When Harry Met Sally.
What was the doctor's name? What was the doctor's name?
Was Dr. Steve? Something with an S.
I forget the doctor's name, honestly.
Dr. Shelby, I think it was.
Yeah, Dr. Shelby.
Dr. Shelby. Dr. Shelby.
But they have these guys, and they make these great sketches, and they make these great behind-the-scenes segments, and it gets these guys over way more than their in-ring action would. And like you said, the "We Want the Mop" chant stole the show with that.
Yeah, and I think, we can talk all day about, I truly believe that Tyler Breeze is an extremely talented wrestler, and he wasn't given the opportunity to show how talented he could be in the main roster yet. So if these little vignettes and the crime scene board where he has an announcer that says "too many chins," all this weird stuff that they're doing gets him to be able to put on a show and show me what he can do, I'm all for it. The more the merrier, because I get to laugh and watch him kick people in the face, which I'm never against. Moving on to Raw, we have a lot of news covered there. The next pay-per-view we have to look forward to, that we have a couple of huge matches going into it. We had talked about the women's match last week on the podcast. If you guys want to tune into that to hear what we think about the kendo stick on a pole match, fair warning, it's not very good. So we'll talk about first the Fatal 5-Way going on that weekend between Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, and Bray Wyatt. This is, without Dean Ambrose and The Miz, this is pretty much a who's who of main event players in the Raw brand. This is it. Like this, they're throwing it all out there at once. So my question to you guys, and I'll start with you, Birch, does this hurt or help the Extreme Rules card that you're getting one match out of your 5 biggest wrestlers?
I think I know at least one of you will disagree. I think it helps them because I think that they all have unique wrestling styles and fighting styles. So I think they have a chance to make it really exciting. I mean, Balor the high flyer, Bray Wyatt and his, weirdness, crypticness. Like him or hate him, Roman Reigns, the big dog and that whole thing. It's tough because at first when you look at it, it's like, yeah, I mean, they have 5 of their top guys on Raw in one match, so you kind of deplete the mid card, which you guys know I'm a big fan of having good mid card talent. But I just think with who they have in it and their fighting styles, it could make actually for a really good match. And the one thing I will say real quick that I was excited about was the fact that Heyman came out on Raw and almost essentially put Balor over with his promo. I love that.
Yeah, no, I loved when he kind of almost hinted at the fact that it's like Balor's gonna win, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it almost made me think because going into it, I was like, well, this pay-per-view, that main event has Roman Reigns written all over it. But when Heyman came out and kind of put Balor over with that promo, I started to think, hey, you know what? Maybe they do want to give it to Balor. Maybe they want to see how he can hold up on Brock.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting match. For me, the Fatal 5-Way, it seems I'm not against it. I am a huge fan of the match itself. But in terms of booking a pay-per-view, I just think this is a Raw match. You know what I mean? This is a perfect Raw main event match to decide who's the number 1 contender and then kind of build up your other matches from there. Because as soon as Bray Wyatt came to Raw, he immediately went after Finn Balor. Immediately, came out on screen to taunt Finn Balor. You have had this confrontation between Samoa Joe and Seth Rollins since WrestleMania. Why throw all that away? Why, that's 2 matches right off the bat that, I mean, could be main events on a pay-per-view to me, especially one called Extreme Rules. If you really want to do a House of Horrors match right, why not put the 2 scariest guys currently in WWE in the match? But, beyond all that, I'm a fan of the Fatal 5-Way. I really hope Finn pulls it out because I've wanted to see him as a champion and actually defend it for a long time. And I'm hoping that, they do this right. They don't put over a guy that they've already put over. Let it be Joe. Let it be Bray. Let it be Finn. And let's use Rollins and Reigns to kind of prop up somebody else to run that division or at least face Brock for a little bit.
Well, it kind of, just kind of thinking about it, it goes to the point we were talking, I think last week when we said that, is Extreme Rules kind of not extreme anymore? Like, they've kind of gone away from the old Extreme Rules when they had a lot of those exciting moments and those dangerous moments. I mean, this kind of seems like it's their way of saying this is extreme because it's the first Fatal 5-Way that they've had.
Yo, and I get
and I mean that's exciting.
The
but
match
at the same
is extreme,
time, it's like,
but it's also not Fatal 5-Way with barbed wire sticks.
Yeah, I mean something like that, or like in a cage, or a House of Horror, or whatever.
There is a cage coming down. Don't worry, we're getting a cage.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. But Mike, I'll throw it to you. Does this help or hurt the Raw men's singles division that you're having? Essentially, your main event and your mid card all compete at once.
I think depending on how the match goes, it can go either way. I think having all 5 guys in a match is a fantastic way to showcase what you have that's not Braun Strowman. Because as of right now, when Braun Strowman's there, he's the best thing they got going, and that's ahead of Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe, just because of how over he gets.
Yeah, unless Brock shows up, but
exactly.
When does that happen?
Yeah, once a Great Balls of Fire.
Screw that pay-per-view.
We'll get into that.
You mean
but
SummerSlam?
I think what the situation you're in, it's a great showcase of, like I said, what you have that's not Braun Strowman. And if the match goes out there and tanks, you can point fingers, that most likely Roman Reigns caused it to tank, and then it won't matter. But
You're foreseeing the reason why I hated this match kind of going into it, though.
But you look at the factor that it is an Extreme Rules match, and you're gonna get it's all but certain you're gonna get the Demon or the Demon King or whatever they call him now with the WWE name shortening vendetta. But you look at a great situation where it could obviously help the main event scene, but in turn could hurt the mid card as well by bolstering these 5 guys up. Bray Wyatt and hell, even Finn Balor could be great mid card Intercontinental title guys.
Yeah, and that's another point. I mean, the only people missing out of this match are the guys competing for that Intercontinental title. Would it have been better to almost do what SmackDown is doing and try to bump up the mid card belt as they're kind of in the same situation with their world title belts.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of just like not on the air.
SmackDown really flip flopped them. If you really look at Jinder Mahal as
is the mid card
WWE champion, and Kevin Owens and AJ Styles feuding for the United States, what world are we living in?
Well,
it only helps.
Think about this too. I mean, I was talking to a friend about the length of Raw and that being a problem. Back in the day when Raw was 2 hours, I mean, you had that first hour that was actually really good content, and that was their way of promoting the mid card at that time. My favorite European belt, but the Intercontinental Championship. They had those mid card championships they built up, and then they turned over the last hour the War Zone. They had Austin, The Rock, et cetera, et cetera. I just think that I said that it could help, but at the same time, the more I think about it, I just think that Raw really doesn't promote the mid card as much as they used to, or as much as they should. And I think, you guys bring up a great point. Like, you could have Balor as a great face for the Intercontinental Championship. You could even have Rollins or Reigns do that, but it's just, I don't know. I just think that they tend to ignore the mid card now, and they're just so focused on having this like one gigantic main event match, and then that kind of just being the one draw.
So, Lewis, I'll ask you, what do you think about this Fatal 5-Way going into Extreme Rules? That's not so extreme.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. One of my biggest problems since the brand split is that Raw sucks at giving matches that aren't for titles a storyline that makes you want to watch. SmackDown did that going into Mania with, Shane and AJ, hell, even the tag team, which didn't have a match because the Usos took the belts off American Alpha right before, had a storyline. They make you care about stuff that isn't for in SmackDown's case, United States or WWE title. Raw sucks at that. I watch a Raw pay-per-view and, they throw on, like Mike said, unless it's Braun, and then I care. But like Raw will throw on, I don't know, Carl Anderson versus Cesaro. Versus Cesaro. And why do I care about, like, if they're not the tag team if neither of them are the tag team or even worse, Carl Anderson versus like Enzo. Why do I care about a Carl Anderson versus Enzo match?
I know why I do.
I think
I automatically care. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's
a main event match.
I think as long as Carl Anderson wins.
You take that back right now.
Go to hell.
I think as long as 2 asterisks. I love this with 2 asterisks. 1, Roman Reigns can't win. Fuck him.
Just end it right there. You know what? Don't even throw in your second asterisk. Just end it right there, and we're good.
It's the man's birthday.
I was just about to say, we are recording this on his birthday, and I am saying, fuck Roman Reigns. I can't take him anymore.
By the way, happy birthday.
Joanna, why?
I hope, like, the best case scenario.
He just wins too much. It gets boring when every time I'm like, man, he wins.
Well, the best case scenario for me would be for him to for him to spear Samoa Joe, and then Braun comes and takes him out.
I almost feel like, given how he delivers his promos, they're singing happy birthday to him in the most melancholy and dull way possible.
No, they're Samoan. They're slapping themselves.
That's true. Playing with fire.
And then the other thing is, I mean, I like it as long as Roman Reigns doesn't win, and I like it as long as they build off of it. Obviously, only one guy is going to win. Now, with the exception of maybe Roman Bray, because they've done that already, and Seth Bray, there's a butt ton of storylines that you can make out of this. You can do Samoa Joe and Finn Balor on the main roster. You can do Bray and Samoa Joe, the two fat guys going at it. You can do Finn, Seth hurt Finn. You can do Finn and Seth. Hell, I'll take Finn and Roman because it's who Vince wants versus who everybody else wants. There's a lot.
You know what? They need to market the matchup exactly like that. Tune in next week to Raw for the main event match. The guy that Vince McMahon has a boner for, and the guy that the WWE Universe has a boner for.
Exactly.
Who will go soft?
Who will need Viagra next week?
The fans. It's always the fans. Vince wins.
The fans.
But yeah, I think there's so many storylines you can go with after this that it allows you to, when you're setting up, great balls of fire.
You can't say great balls of fire after the erection jokes.
If you have a boner and great balls of fire, you have a serious
case of Roman Reigns.
You have a serious case of Roman Reigns.
I think you may have gotten with Gabby if that's the case.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Joanna White.
No happy birthday. Just please stop winning.
But honestly, to get back on the subject, if you have, let's say, Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire, and then the Intercontinental title match, I think The Miz wins that. So let's say Miz and Dean Ambrose in a rematch. Then you have, the Hardys versus Cesaro again, probably. But then you can throw in Samoa Joe, Finn Balor. You could throw in Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, and people are going to watch that match instead of going to get a snack. So I like it from that aspect of it's going to legitimize particularly Finn and Samoa Joe, who one missed significant time and one just came up and haven't really shown all they can do on the main roster. They're going to get to do that in this match. And even Bray to an extent. They're going to get to show that in this match and then take that and put it into a match that people actually care about because we saw them go at it in the Fatal 5-Way.
Well, you bring up a really good point because oftentimes one of the reasons I hate Raw is because they build up or even just throw you a storyline and then the storyline just dies. And the match, it's just like, whoa, remember when they fought? Oh, yeah. What happened after that? Nothing. So, one of the things I'm looking at is, there has to be something in this match where one or two or even three of the competitors kind of screw each other, and then that leads to another match at, I don't know, Money in the Bank or not Money in the Bank because that's SmackDown.
Great Balls of Fire.
Great Balls of Fire, Battleground, or SummerSlam. So,
hashtag say the name.
Hashtag please don't talk about this anymore. I'm done. But
you don't like Great Balls of Fire merch?
No, I don't.
No Jerry Lee Lewis for you merch?
No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, just one of the things that will really at least make it worth watching is let's see how they write this storyline going forward, having these big five guys in there.
Yeah, and so we'll move on to the next match. I want to talk about the Steel Cage Tag Team match that was decided by a stipulation that the Hardy Boys actually got to choose. And was I the only one that was real upset when no one said ladder?
Yes. No,
I was hoping for Tag Team Apocalypto.
No,
also,
I was way off.
Me and you were both hoping for a match at the Hardy compound, but we knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I was mid-drink before I could give my response, but Jerry Lee Lewis was a fantastic piano player. just not a great chooser of the song names.
Lewis, I'll ask you, being that you're our local Hardy expert as the only person who actually hated themselves enough to watch TNA.
He was so proud of it too all those years.
Guys, the Hardys are broken. You have to watch this. No.
Just no. I don't hate myself enough yet.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't self.
Kill my dog, and maybe we'll talk about it. So what excites you about this steel cage match that you couldn't get in a stereotypical ladder match or just a regular tag team match?
I like it from an aspect of I think we're really gonna get to see a lot of the vintage Hardy moves. I mean, they came back at WrestleMania. Did they have a match at what the hell was their pay-per-view? Payback.
Yes,
That's when he got kicked in the mouth and his teeth came out.
Oh yeah. You know, I think this match, I think we're really going to get to see if they do it the way they used to. I mean, I haven't seen a tag team steel cage match since what I consider the golden age. But when they used to do it, you know, both partners had to get out of the cage. So more often than not, the first person to get out, their team would lose because then it's a 2-on-1 handicap match. So I'm interested to see, like, Sheamus, because they like to bury Cesaro and push Sheamus for some reason. Fuck this up. Leave the cage. And then we get to see the old Hardy moves, you know. Whisper in the Wind. I'm blanking on the name for it. When Matt gets down on all fours. Yeah.
Poetry in motion. What kind of fan are you?
A TNA fan.
Don't delete you. But I do. I think we'll get to see it. And I also think, I mean, we're getting. It's if you tune in for just their match on Raw, like I've been doing, we're getting closer to Matt's broken condition. So that keeps developing.
You know what's funny? I'm at work the other day, and this person comes in and asks us about a program that they couldn't find on our website, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't put on our website. And the guy just goes, "Yeah, like the website was just obsolete." And in my head, I just hear Lewis screaming, obsolete. And I just had to remove myself from this situation because I'm laughing. And I want to make it seem like I'm laughing at the guy's face. Like, I'm laughing because this goes to broken Matt Hardy. Not because
it's like Kevin Bacon. Everything goes back to broken Matt Hardy.
No, you just walk up to him and just go, "So would you say it had to be deleted?" And then leave the room.
So sorry, it must have been deleted off the website.
I just
off the website.
Website Apocalypto.
What a joke.
It's not a joke. You will enjoy it when it happens.
I thoroughly enjoy it because he talked to a giraffe and thought it was George Washington. That's comedy gold.
He dances with kangaroos.
Yeah, he also
total Neanderthal action. That's what TNA stands for.
It's total non-shop. What the fuck am I watching?
Total Neanderthals acting.
Fuck that owl.
So, what? I mean, Mike, what do you see in this steel cage match? Because I'm seeing somebody leaving.
I'm seeing steel cage.
I'm seeing the two guys that are, you know, let's be honest, relatively older in age, having to be in there the entire time and not having the chance to tag out and catch their breath.
Also, I left this out.
Social security checks.
I left this out. Jeff's jumping off the top. I'm calling that right.
No, I believe they're going to show off their moves. But I also see that we're going to see some serious dad gut as the match gets longer and longer.
It's all that beer he was drinking.
He doesn't drink anymore.
Well, what you just said is that Cesaro is no spring chicken either. He's an older dude.
But
as
he's not as old as the Hardys.
Yeah, no, look at the shape Cesaro's in and look at the shape that Matt Hardy's in.
Matt Hardy's got social security check written all over him.
He's got heart disease in his near future.
As Alec has ruined wrestlers' ages for me before. Because I like to believe they're all in their mid-20s.
Mike thinks Finn Balor's the young man.
Alex is like, Seth Rollins is 35. He's not going to wrestle for long. Ruin your hopes and dreams.
Here goes Mike. He's just like, well, Finn Balor's like he's like 26. And I'm like, try 34. Like,
Yeah, that's like freshman year when I turned to you, Alec, and I was like, how old's CM Punk? And you were like, I think at the time, like 31, 32. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
No.
When they say,
we
I like
argued.
this kid, it means I like this man under 40.
We were arguing for like 30 minutes until you just showed me the Google page. It's like, he's 32. I was like, well, damn.
Well, Wikipedia gives me accurate answers. You don't.
Because you know what? Anyone in the world can put anything on Wikipedia and you know it's true.
I'm editing every wrestler before every argument I have with Alec from now on.
Hey, by the way, Edge is
Jeff Hardy, 24.
Edge is a 20-time world champ. Screw you, Cena.
But I think with the cage match,
Vince will find it and make Cena 21.
Get the fountain of youth in here.
Roman Reigns really did win the Royal Rumble this year, last year, the previous year before that.
He's won every Rumble he was ever in.
He's won every Rumble. He's won every belt.
But I think with the cage match, going back to that, I think obviously the Hardys are gonna win. They're too hot right now. Now, granted,
well, I would say Jeff's an attractive guy, but I don't know about
Allie sure thinks so.
Yeah,
Ayo.
the bar is very hot as heels right now.
We are the bar.
The bar. We don't set the bar, we are the bar. So if the bar is low, that means they suck. But yeah, I think they're very good as heels right now, and I wouldn't be against them taking the belts. But I feel the Hardys, you can get a couple more months out of this nostalgia act. You can get them to SummerSlam, and then you take the belts off them because the big stage SummerSlam, you're pushing the tag team. But going back to the cage, I think they're going to steal the show. I think they're going to put on just solely because of Jeff Hardy being as, out of his mind as he is. Spot monkey at 80 years old, according to Alec.
He's only in his 40s.
He'll jump off the cage, land on his ass, no problem. But yeah,
he better have a swanton bomb off that steel cage.
Yeah, and if not swanton bomb, he'll go whisper in the wind. But I think you're going to be in a situation where Matt's going to get out of the cage first, and it's going to push Jeff Hardy back to that old Jeff Hardy that has now come from the Indies. Matt's the big star. I think they're going to try to push Jeff to get to that big star platform again and have him beat Cesaro and Sheamus 2-on-1 and get out of that cage.
Just so everyone listening to the podcast understands, Jeff Hardy is 39 years old. Just so no one thinks that he's actually a young, spry chicken that just showed up recently.
You ruin hopes and dreams.
Yes. Please remember, Jeff Hardy was around in like 2004, 2005.
He was actually around in 1997 when he had his breakout match, so you're wrong.
Well,
if he's getting an urban woman, he could be Allie's dad.
Oh, damn.
I said urban. I didn't say specifics.
Jeff Hardy, please come to the Tally Ho. So, move over to the last match of the night. That I want to talk about from Raw. It's the Cruiserweight division because they're technically part of Raw. The submission match that is going to happen between Neville and AA. The Last Chancery versus, I believe they're calling it the Rings of Saturn.
Rings of Saturn.
The Rings of Saturn. That is his new submission finisher. I don't like this match because I think you took the division that had the most opportunity, like Mike said, to be spot monkeys and do whatever the hell they want in an Extreme Rules situation, jump through tables or whatever. Almost like what we saw with DIY, being a team of spot monkeys that just jump through ladders and through tables and whatever they need to do. This had the chance to be a similar match to that, and they kind of kept it more grounded. I would have almost liked to see two amateur wrestlers have a submission match more than I'd like to see these two guys have a submission match. Although I think they can put on a great match. When Neville hits his red arrow and then goes into a Rings of Saturn, I think it loses some of its impact as a match finish or whatever they're gonna do. What do you think, Birch? Being someone who's as touted as behind the cruiserweight division as I am, what do you think about them kind of taking away their aerial moves as a finisher?
Well, like, how fucking dare they? Because one of the things that one of the things that I really loved about Neville was that red arrow. And if they are in fact taking that away, you're taking away one of the biggest draws to the cruiserweights, because these guys aren't big. They're not big like Brock and Roman and Strowman. They were. Thank you. They. Now you made me lose my train of thought. They don't rely on the big brooding technique. They rely on the high flying, quick and agile. So, I mean, one of the things that I really loved about the cruiserweight division was, them jumping off the top rope and them doing all these exciting acrobatic moves. So if they're taking that away, I mean, maybe Vince McMahon really is on his way out, because that is just absurd to me. And that really hurts me as a fan of the cruiserweight.
Yeah, it takes a whole division that's built around the like Corey Graves says, these guys are the best on the ropes and on the turnbuckles out of anyone in this company. So let's ground them.
Right?
That's
essentially
what it is.
That's WWE logic for you. Like, something that works and something that's fun, and then they try to downplay it, and then you're kind of sitting there left thinking, well, what fun is this now? Like, you're taking away the biggest draw that these guys have. They're taking away their biggest moveset.
Yeah, no,
like that would be like them going to Daniel Bryan and saying, you need to go pick up Big Show and throw him over the ring. You can't do the running knee anymore.
Well, I mean, that's kind of entertaining because that's Daniel Bryan doing anything physical, but, be that as it may. That's, the submission match is something that I hold in esteem to guys like Ric Flair and Bret Hart, guys who made their livings off of making guys tap out, not guys who made their livings punching each other or, doing flips off the top rope or 450 splashes or moonsaults or whatever. Lewis, being someone that watched Austin Aries in total nonstop stupidery, does Austin Aries have a significant submission background, or is this match really just off base?
Yeah, no, I mean, he didn't really have a submission game until kind of picking up the last chancery coming over to WWE. He did a brainbuster in TNA for his finisher. So obviously that can't happen because you may have to eventually feud with John Cena and, his neck.
Anyone's neck. Name a wrestler. Neck.
Yeah. Name a wrestler. Old age.
Fuck you, Mike. How dare you?
Oh, wait, no. Now, hold on.
Fired. You're out.
I did some more Wikipedia searching. Matt Hardy's 42 for anyone who thinks he's a young spring chicken.
And I just did Wikipedia searching. Mike Schaefer's last day of this podcast was May 25th, 2017, for bringing up the fact that Edge has a steel plate in his neck.
Matt Hardy's got like the Kyle Lowry thing though. Like, Kyle Lowry didn't really start playing until 27. Like, Matt Hardy wasn't good until 39. So just getting him because
he just waited.
Honey, I just hit my stride. I hit the stride. How old are you? 36. Became world champion at 35.
He took the part in NBA 2K where you can change like the peak start and the peak end, and he just decided, I'm going to peak at 39 and be done at 42.
No, he thinks he's peaking at 50. He thinks this is the rise.
But I mean, he hasn't really had a submission game. I mean, he kind of was just a well-rounded wrestler. TNA obviously used him. It's much easier for TNA when you have AJ Styles. Help me out here, Mike. Jay Lethal. All kind of
division
crap
in the main event picture, and he was able to go with them and not have to fly around. Even Samoa Joe would fly around in TNA. He ain't doing that here. Bobby Roode. So
Storm.
Glorious.
Eric Young. Magnus.
There you go. Okay, Mike, we get it. You're still fine.
Yeah, you're still packing your bags at the end of the show. But, you can clean out your office.
But I mean, he didn't really have a submission game in TNA. He kind of picked up the last chancery in WWE, but it's a cool move. I'm okay with it. And the fact that this is his last chance and his finisher's the last chancery, I think it's safe to say he's winning the title.
Yeah, no, I think it's safe to say that it's coming home with him. Neville's done all that he can to prop up this belt, and I'm very proud of him for it. He's done an amazing job, and I hope he gets many more runs as a cruiserweight champion. But I believe it's Austin's turn. So the final question I want to bring up tonight, the thing that's going to kind of wrap up our show, now that a report came out that said now that Jinder Mahal is WWE champion, the Maharaja has arrived in SmackDown. There is plans that if all goes well and he continues to make money in India, he is going to hold his title till the Royal Rumble.
I'm okay with it.
That is when a certain Doctor of Thugonomics is making his return and will drop it to him. So, going on, like, we're going to ignore the fact that John Cena is going to win number 17 again.
No.
Jinder Mahal.
Against Jinder Mahal, and it's not going to be memorable at all. But
You're all gonna sit here and tell me you wouldn't cheer if Cena broke the record.
not off
Not
Mahal.
against Jinder Mahal.
Not against Mahal.
Fine, then I'll be the minority in this, and I'll go pack my bags, and I'll be fired.
Do I have my job back?
Alex, I guess we're a two-man band next week.
I'm down. Let's.
But not the good part. Like, we're McIntyre and Slater.
Oh
We
no!
don't have-
The bass player.
I am a bass player. You take that back. So
I don't even know if Lewis knows how to pick up an instrument.
no, he really doesn't.
But skin.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
But if John Cena beats Kevin Owens, he beats AJ Styles, he beats Nakamura, he beats anybody credible, I'm down. I'm all behind it. I'm excited for him. To beat Jinder Mahal for 17 when you beat AJ to get 16, that's a little embarrassing. That's like breaking like the championship record. That's like becoming the most like highly touted team in hockey, and you beat your rivals to tie the record, but then beat some nobody team for to make the record your own. You know what I mean? It kind of loses its luster.
I don't care. Cena got 17 and I got to see it. I'd have a smile on my face.
Well, stop riding his jock for 5 minutes and you might see the world.
All right, his jock.
Whoa!
How dare
Ladies
you?
and gentlemen, FeedMeSports is falling apart at the seams.
I just don't want John Cena to beat
I
Jinder
blame
Mahal.
Mike.
I blame Edge.
Oh, Jesus.
He did give
Hey,
John his
Mike.
number.
Hey, Mike, mention Edge's name one more time and I'll put a steel plate in your neck. Just
Championships,
like him.
championships
And you guys-
8 through
you guys
12
can go
all
play
came
chess
from
at
Edge
the
anyway,
retirement
so
home.
We can go to the meetings.
don't come to my
You guys can
meetings.
You guys can go play chess at the retirement home and
Mike will be on the ENC podcast in a week.
Yeah.
He'll be Christian's get, though.
So my question to you guys is, and I'll start off with you, Birch. How do we book Jinder for the next X amount of months so that
you
he's
build him as the
credible?
greatest thing to ever happen to WWE.
But how do we book him as credible so when he faces Cena, it doesn't feel like a disappointment? Because now it kind of feels like a joke. It kind of feels like everyone in the crowd is like, okay, he's champion, we've laughed,
Well,
give it back to someone else now.
Not to be cliche, but I kind of wanted to answer that question with a question. Do you guys think at least it would be foreseeable for him to hold the belt maybe up until SummerSlam and then drop it, so it's not like they're kind of overdoing it? Like I feel like he could have
the
belt for a couple months.
leaked plans are Royal Rumble. Like he's holding it
Dropping
away
it?
for a long time. Yeah, he's dropping it at
Uh,
the Rumble to Cena. That's when Cena comes home. Cena's gone till then.
That's going to be
That-
one hell of a build.
And that's in
Yeah, but
Philly
how do you
too.
do it? How do you make that many months of
I
top
just-
pay-per-views?
To me, I think you'd have to have him drop it at least once. I mean, because it would almost seem like you're forcing it. Like, and the gimmick. I mean, I trust SmackDown's storyline writing a lot better than I would with Raw, but I just think that you would have the storyline would have to be perfect enough to carry it for that long, and you can't overdo it. And I feel like at some point, maybe in October, November, even right before the Rumble, maybe he drops it and then gets it back. But I mean, that's just kind of how I would see it. They got to be careful not to completely overdo it and it be like, well, we're kind of sick of this gimmick by the time the Rumble comes around.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I think we can all agree. Jinder Mahal is a champion because of business. He's not a champion because of being over or being hated or being a good wrestler. I mean, he's all of those things, but
Oh yeah, but
it's a business call.
right.
Vince
right.
saw the country of India, even though that's not where he's from, as being this untapped market, and with all of their expansion into foreign markets, this was a chance to get India on board with the WWE. Now, how do you make a business decision that is going to last this long? Because Vince is going to keep Jinder as champion as long as those dollar signs keep popping up. You know what I mean? As long as they keep selling Maharaja gear, Jinder is champion. So what?
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if the WWE universe picks it up and they keep riding it out, obviously.
Well, no, not the universe.
Well, no, I'm
We're
just
talking
saying,
about
like, if
3 million people that don't even watch and can't come to shows.
Well, but think about too, if the universe gets behind it and they keep pushing him like they have been the last couple weeks, I mean, it would be really hard to take the belt away from him then too.
No, but like let's assume, because right now his major audience is people who don't come to shows because we don't do them there.
People speaking his native tongue of Punjabi.
Right, but the Raw doesn't go to Mumbai. Like Raw's never live from New Delhi. It's not, and that's a problem.
I definitely think that it's a chance for them to open that market now. It's great to kind of have a different face, especially when you talk about like the ethnic background. So yeah, I mean that's kind of one of the markets WWE has never really tapped into. So I think it's a great move on their part to do it because, I mean, like you said, like it opens that fan base now.
Right, but Lewis, I'll ask you, who does he face? Who does he face that makes him credible? Does he beat Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin? Does he run through all those guys to get to Cena just so he can drop it so he looks strong?
I'm not sure who I'd have him beat. I don't have him. That's heel on heel. I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, heel on heel doesn't work.
No, I'm just doing that to be a jackass because Lewis loves KO.
I mean, like I look at it. I mean, it's the more and more I watch it, the more and more it starts to become clear to me that I think they've kind of, blown the dust off of the archives and pulled out the old Edge, Hawkins, and Ryder storyline with him and the Singh brothers. I think, like you guys said, from a business standpoint, what was it, 2007 when the Great Khali wore black pants? Then you turned him into the Punjabi Playboy and have been taking a shit on India for the last 10 years. But honestly, like you had the Punjabi Playboy, and then he left, and then you had Jinder, who was, stressing the fact that he was Indian for maybe a year, but he was a jobber. Then he joined 3MB.
Right, he was in three-man band. Like you were like, we love India, and it was like, oh wait, he's in an American rock band.
I'm just remembering now when DX came and attacked 3-man band, and Triple H just pedigreed Jinder, and I was like, oh, I kind of feel bad for that poor guy.
Like honestly, they've been taking a shit on India since 2007 with the Punjabi prison match with Khali and Batista. Since then. What?
The Punjabi prison match is the greatest match stipulation ever.
Oh, it is. And if they do it I heard they might be doing it at Battleground, and if they do, I'm there.
It is in Philadelphia.
And the Rumble. So, yeah.
I look at it. I wouldn't mind him dropping it at SummerSlam. Although I am on board. If anyone's going to erase CM Punk from the history books, let it be Jinder, because why the hell not? I would die to see him hold it for 435 days.
Didn't CM Punk erase himself? Because didn't they now like come out like a year ago and say that they're not going to mention 434 anymore? Like if you get to 430.
Eventually, they're gonna have someone break it.
Yeah, someone gets
to 435, and then it'll never be like, oh, they broke CM Punk's 434. It'll just be, this is the 435th day so and so's held the title.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna mention his name. I think they're just gonna say,
unless they're on
this
better
person
terms,
is now the longest person in the modern era.
Yeah. Poor Phil.
Like I said, although I'm on board for Jinder holding it for 435 days, because I think that would be hysterical. I could see SummerSlam. Everybody started to go sour on Cena when it kind of became, look at this, foreign force. At first it was Khali when he was on Raw. Then it was, as William Regal affectionately calls, Umanga. and then Rusev. People don't like Cena, and that's one of the reasons why, is because they build up these monster foreign heels, and then Mr. America, Johnny Cena, has to come in and squash them. So I don't think
Mr. America Johnny Cena.
I don't think he's gonna beat Jinder. I think he could win it at the Rumble, if not WrestleMania. But I don't think it's Cena. I think it could be Kevin, could be Baron Corbin, could be I don't know, Chris Jericho, if he's back by then, who knows? But I would have, we're in end of May. You have to the end of August, 3 months. You could build up Shinsuke in that time to knock him off at SummerSlam, or you can build up. As much as I'd love to see it, it won't happen. But you could build up Ty Dillinger in time to do that,
Man. If Ty Dillinger's the next WWE champion, you can count me in as a lifetime subscriber.
They have given it to Jinder Mahal. Anything's possible.
Cue Kevin Garnett.
I was talking to Mike about this earlier today. Like, look at the superstar shakeup. There was, KO to SmackDown, Dean to Raw, so the title switched. You had Jericho to SmackDown and Miz to Raw, and their rivals switched. Jinder Mahal was essentially swapped for Kurt Hawkins, and Kurt Hawkins wrestled in NXT. So who won that trade-off?
And we're all forgetting one key point of all this. And John Cena, I think, is going to return on the 4th of July because that is on a Tuesday night. So that's just all but certain that, like Lewis said, Mr. America, Johnny Cena. But there's another thing, and that we're all forgetting, is the 6 guys in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't see the briefcase being held for very long this year. Again. And I see SummerSlam, Cena versus Mahal for the title, and I say whoever wins the ladder match is going to cash in and get it then.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Mike, I'll ask you, if you were gonna say you have to keep Jinder for as long as possible, you gotta keep him because he's making you money in India. How do you make him a credible champion?
As a heel,
yeah, he's already a heel.
He's a heel.
He's a heel.
Foreign, he's a heel.
How long see that's the thing? If, like you said, the rumors are circling that it's gonna be Royal Rumble that he holds.
Let's say till Great Balls of Fire.
Well, that's before SummerSlam.
Is it? Or I thought it was replacing Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, it's in July.
It's in July.
Yeah.
So let's say till around October-ish time. Let's say till the end of October. We'll split the difference between Royal Rumble and SummerSlam.
All right, so he loses it in October. I think even until October, because you have June, July, August, September, you have 4, for argument's sake, let's say 5 full months of him as champion. After 2 of them, the I'm Indian, I'm different than you, and that's why you hate me thing is going to go sour. And people be calling for a change, just like they did with Randy Orton after 2 months when the plan isn't to drop it until after 5. So you're looking at a situation where I think by the time SummerSlam rolls around, you're going to see a gimmick change, even still as champion. I think they're going to have to move from as the great Kevin Steen once said, the evil foreigner, moving away from that and going to, I'm not a heel because I'm from India. I'm a heel because I don't like you, and I'm going to kick the ass of whoever I'm in the ring with. Because Jinder, let's put it this way. Jinder Mahal couldn't swat a fly off the window. No carbs, Jinder Mahal can kick the tar out of anybody that he faces. And
I want to know what he's taking because
no carbs.
Not carbs.
No carbs. It's the no carb diet.
No. I want to know what he's taking, not what he's eating. What he's taking.
Ask Barry Bonds.
One does not simply get to that big without cutting pasta and bread out of your.
Oh,
diet.
I know what it is. It's creatine.
Right.
Him and John Cena
It's creatine.
have
Oh
creatine.
yeah, Cena. Well,
It's
Cena
water
posts that
muscles.
creatine, and it's just bad news, man.
Well, I
He's gonna
think
die.
His
the
kidney's
other
going to
thing-
give out at 50, but he's yoked now.
I think the other thing is that, Mike, you kind of hinted at it. SmackDown has a lot of talent that are faces that you could put against him without harming a AJ Styles or a Shinsuke Nakamura or,
like Aiden English.
But you know what?
not in English, but you could have again, like I said, they just put the belt on Jinder, so anything's fucking possible.
Well,
You can have a Jinder Ziggler or a Jiggler.
A jiggler.
Jinder.
Make that match happen. That's our selling point. It's the Jiggle Fest.
It's the Jiggler.
Jigglypuff comes rolling in.
But you can have Jinder Ziggler. You can have Jinder Mojo or Jinder Luke Harper. Like, sure, does it hurt them a little bit? But you just put the belt on Jinder Mahal, so anytime they have a title match, they have a chance of winning.
To go with that point, though, if you want to really build Jinder Mahal as the top guy, if that really is your plan, I wouldn't mind seeing him float around with like Orton, Styles, Owens, and those guys. I mean, I don't want to see him just continuously battle the same person like you have with Raw. Like with Raw, how many times did we see Cena Lesnar? How many times did we see, Now I had like 2 or 3 examples, and now I just thought of Cena and Lesnar. But that was
right now. Look at right now. How many times are we going to see Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins?
Yeah,
I know
Lewis
and I are attending Raw, not this Monday, but the following Monday, and the matches are advertising right. It's the day after Extreme Rules, and they're advertising for Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns.
Again.
Which means Finn won.
Well, but to go to what I was saying, for my point, it's just if you want to build Jinder up, like mix and match some of these guys that he can face. I mean, yeah, Lewis, you bring up a good point. You could have him face some of the other guys, and yeah, it might hurt a little bit, but in the long run, you're only building up Jinder to be, a formidable face of SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, here's the way I would do it. If you're gonna put me in Shane's shoes because Dan is on baby daddy break. Listen, like Mike said, Money in the Bank is coming up soon. I have my underdog of the underground win it because he is the face that can be champion because he's been given all these matches on pay-per-views but never significant ones. He's always been either screwed out at the last minute by Kevin Owens and they've got to have that match for the 50th time. So I want to give him the briefcase, have him face heels, have him face Corbin, almost like Seth Rollins did, where he almost battled to defend Mr. Money in the Bank for months on end. And have Jinder face guys like Ziggler. Have him face guys that are
the Jiggler match.
But have him face upper mid card kind of guys. You know what I mean? And then tear them apart. Absolutely tear them a new one. Until people hate him so much that they're excited to see whoever faces him. Because that's the only way they're going to make this work. In order for you to be profitable about this, you're going to get hopefully money from the India market because he is advertising himself as such. But in order for them to get money from the domestic audience, they need to pitch him to guys like Lewis who will cheer for any heel they find. And they make him hated.
You made a good point with how they have to have him face upper mid-card guys and absolutely squash them so you love seeing whoever he faces for the belt. You saw that 3 years ago with Rusev. Same exact situation. Russian foreigner coming in, big hot heel, as Rusev likes to say, a handsome heel. And he just tore apart guys like The Big Show, Mark Henry, Kurt Hawkins, R-Truth.
Jack Swagger.
Jack Swagger, all these upper mid-card guys. And just absolutely demolish them. And then he would face John Cena, and you knew he got buried. But, he came in, and it was a good match. You wanted to root for John Cena, which is what they really needed at that time. But now with Jinder, it's the same thing. The heel foreigner Jinder Mahal squashing on SmackDown, Zack Ryder, Mojo Rawley, Ziggler, guys like that. And then in the title match, when he faces Baron Corbin, you're okay with seeing Baron Corbin win the match.
And then that's the match where you throw in Sami Zayn and he becomes champion.
No, Baron Corbin versus Jinder Mahal is the match where I cancel my subscription to Birch's network.
I cancel my subscription to Birch's network.
So what you're saying is you're just not going to log in with my username and
just not
password?
gonna watch.
I'll take my $10. Excuse me, I'll take my $9.99 back, Michael.
Birch, at this point, Mike owes you like 33 cents.
No.
Yeah, so many people are on that. We owe you like a penny a person.
I'll be the deciding factor of the bill, and you are all going to be now accruing interest.
I can accrue interest on a 10 cents bill. Yeah, good luck collecting, but yeah, good luck.
I know you live. I will find you.
Takes you 3 hours to get to me. I'll wait.
That is Birch's gimmick, the network collector.
I don't want to be his tag team partner anymore. Anyone looking for a partner?
Come out, talk about the WWE Network, and I'll just come out and give the username and password. It's $9.99 a month, bastards. You will be billed monthly.
All of us, evidently. At that point, I think me, Mike, and Lewis will split our own for $3 a month.
There you go.
We'll just get off your system.
You still have a little extra cash for snacks and stuff in between.
I'm going on that no carb
Funny
diet.
thing is, Aaron and Allie are about to get hit with a bill. They have no
They
idea
don't
it's
even
coming.
know. Oh man.
Poor Robert.
This letter is from Jeff Hardy. She opens it. Oh my God! This is a bill to Alexander Burton WWE subscription. From your favorite wrestler, Mr. Extreme, Jeff Hardy.
Jeffrey Nero Hardy.
Who is 39 years old, by the way.
Shut up! He's
Point,
not that old for having wrestled in 2002.
No, he's not. But he does just all remember, he's 39.
You know what? If I may, if that kind of wraps up the discussion in terms of what we were going to talk about, I wanted to know the three of you, what is your favorite match in WWE history? If you could pick one.
Oh, man.
Oh, sweet Jesus. You should have prefaced this when we were discussing the schedule. Jesus Christ.
Oh, I got to hit you on the fly. I don't remember the Jesus Christ match, but I'll have to go back on the network.
It's
Shawn Michaels and God.
Shawn Michaels and God.
I lift that devil over my head, brother, and slam.
I'll have to go back on my network and watch that
No,
match.
it's Shawn Michaels with
Our
God in his
network.
corner against Nick Mans. Don't you remember that one?
WrestleMania 22.
I don't remember. It's probably a tie at this point, honestly. It's a tie between two matches. I would have to say
I know mine. I want to hear your guys first.
mine's a tie between the WrestleMania 25 Michaels Taker
Damn you.
and then WrestleMania 30 Triple Threat. Those are my
Damn
two
you.
favorite of all time.
I would go, just because you took the 25 one and I love the 25 one, I would go, was it 29 Triple H and Undertaker with Shawn Michaels as ref, or was that 28?
No,
28.
28 is Punk.
28, yeah.
29
That
is
one
Punk.
was,
You
okay, yeah.
Never forget.
Wait a minute, who?
Philip Jack
Yeah,
Brooks.
that match for me was all the nostalgia with Shawn as the special guest. I remember when Shawn going to screw his best friend, or is he going to call the match down the line? And that match was just incredible, for me at least.
Yeah, no, I like all the Undertaker matches, but my favorite is still Shawn Michaels descending from the heavens.
One mistake.
And it was facing
Lewis,
you
what's yours?
at all.
But yet, the streak was broken by Brock Lesnar, not the Heartbreak Kid.
Or Roman Reigns, depending on when you want to look at it.
Shut the hell up, Mike. You're fired again.
2 Edge neck jokes and a Roman Reigns beating the Undertaker.
And
You're
he's
gone,
still
Mike.
been fired less than Birch.
He's been fired
No,
like
I think we
3 times
tied.
on the show.
We tied.
Tied at this point.
Let me think. For me, I'm
You
going.
say anything MVP or Deuce and Domino, you're fired.
The show is over.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there. This match though does have ties to that era when I was watching wrestling. Though
That's fair.
a little more recent. This is only so high for me because I was one of those.
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. It's the final deletion.
No.
God.
That I was one of those people that knew about him in the independent scene and in TNA, and I'd been waiting for this match for 10 years. The Rumble, Cena Styles.
Really?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Over all
was
of
a
the
good
great
match.
matches and the pizza eating competition?
I don't put it over the pizza eating or arm wrestling competitions between MVP and Matt Hardy.
What about the one-on-one basketball?
Yeah, the one-on-one game.
That was lopsided. MVP's black.
Oh, hey.
There's the racist slew of the day.
Matt Hardy's from North
We
Carolina. It's
just
close
had
enough.
a show about this in sports, and here's Lewis just stomping all over that.
It was 2 shows ago. I'm fine. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one of those things. I was one of those people that had waited, 10 years for that match to happen because he was in TNA and then went to Japan and,
More
I
than 10
knew
years.
I knew it was
More.
going to come eventually.
15.
And the way they
15
did
years.
Yeah, 15
Because he
years.
started
And
in 2002 with TNA.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I wasn't watching wrestling at 6, so
Well, I
Just-
was, and I was very
I was, and I
enthralled.
thoroughly enjoyed the thugonomic scene.
I didn't know about.
I
TNA
loved Triple H at the
6.
time.
I'll tell you.
But
Right.
yeah, I mean, everything with that match. I mean, Cena winning 16 in it. The kind of the culmination of it. Even though Cena did go over, not necessarily happy, but that's still a little bitter.
Styles won the first match, though, so they went 1-1.
Yeah, that's true. Come on.
Yeah. So they went 1-1, kind of culminated that rivalry. Something that I, as a wrestling fan, have been waiting for. I know I wanted the TNA invasion back in the day, and
I swear to
slowly
God,
happened.
if you bring up that fake storyline.
I wanted the TNA invasion back
You
in
know
the
what?
day. So to see a little bit of it happen,
Real
Mason
quick,
Ryan.
real quick, Mike. Before you go, Lewis, you have a choice of going back and seeing the TNA invasion, or bringing back the wonderful, absolutely brilliant ECW.
No,
Yeah,
if you can have
ECW.
EC3 instead.
TNA invasion.
Yeah. I would rather see the TNA invasion.
Are you kidding me? I'm gonna go Alec here. Sandman's probably 80.
Yeah.
Tommy
I
Dreamer's
don't
on
know.
AARP.
Is that gut?
I'll tell you guys.
Sabu
My-
has moved back home.
Mike, what was yours?
I'm gonna preface this with the reason it's
And if
so
it's the
good.
Ascension,
Yeah,
It
if you
is not
say
the
Ascension,
Ascension.
the team that had a tag team championship handed to them and still lost.
I'm gonna preface this with the fact that the reason this is my favorite match is simply the storytelling behind it, and the
It's
fact
when
that
Mickey
Brock-
James groped Trish Stratus, WrestleMania.
That's number 2.
damn it, how'd you know that was in my top 5?
It's
But I'm gonna
everyone's
say
top
Brock
five.
Lesnar. Brock Lesnar does not typically tell a good story, but this match,
It was a talk.
2004, No Way Out.
Oh, Eddie,
Guerrero
yeah,
versus
yeah, yeah.
Brock Lesnar.
Eddie.
Great match.
Eddie hitting him with the belt. Taz's call. Eddie cheated off the frog splash, and the lead up from that to where it went in WrestleMania 20, and that whole culmination of him. I believe he got who did he face in WrestleMania 20?
Goldberg.
Goldberg.
No, not Brock. Eddie Guerrero.
Real quick for you.
Yeah, Lewis, give me a Google search. But at No Way Out, the way that story
Does
was
anyone-
told, it was Eddie's last chance at the title, and the way he won that match, and
Benoit.
then
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle, yep.
Oh,
not-
that's Kurt Angle, my bad.
The culmination of that in that moment at the end of WrestleMania 20, but going prior to that and No Way Out, the way Eddie and Brock were able to tell that story and the powerful reign that Brock had and the build up prior to the match with Bill Goldberg, with the Santa Slay gear. You'll never forget the Santa Slay gear.
Oh, God. He doesn't know
SL
about
Mike, you
Santa's
know about
sleigh.
Santa's
He
sleigh?
doesn't know about Santa's sleigh.
Wrap it up,
But he-
Mike. I'm going to edit this out.
It was that the
You
way
guys
that
want to watch Santa's sleigh?
storytelling alone, that was the best match
Fuck
I've
you.
ever seen. Nah.
I mean, Mike, I'm with you on that one. I loved Eddie, so I'm down.
I loved Eddie too.
I love
man.
Jaeger Nog.
That's it. No, we're cutting that.
What I wanted to say was, the reason why I said Benoit was because when Eddie won, that was when Benoit came out to congratulate him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they partied together because Benoit had just.
Benoit came out in a lot of ways.
Okay, we're done here.
Jesus.
We're done here.
Edge.
Too far, Coco.
That's gonna wrap up our show today, guys. Thank you
We're
for
all
listening in.
fired.
This might
We're
not
off
go
the
on many
air.
more weeks. Please like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching off of Facebook,
Please don't call
like
the
our-
FCC.
We're not under the FCC, Birch. Learn your government.
Anything
please
posted
like our
to the
Facebook
internet
page.
is FCC regulated.
Please like our Twitter page as well to hear updates about when we post. Read our articles at feedmesports.wordpress.com. Follow us on our personal Twitter at Roman the Rican, at Schaefer500, and at BirchBeer007. Leave down in the comments what you want us to talk about next week. We could talk about pretty much anything except for Edge's neck plate, Chris Benoit, or the death of Eddie Guerrero.
Or Roman Reigns.
Or Roman Reigns, because we just don't like him. So thank you for listening, and tune in next week to hear us talk about more wrestling, more sports, and we'll probably have our updates and our predictions for NBA and NHL finals at that point, so we can start putting some money on the line. So that'll